Well, welcome everybody to the Upstate Professional Planners Group again. Pleasure seeing some of your faces. We've got a good one today, so I'm going to turn it over to the folks at Northside Development Group, Michael Williamson and Tony Thomas. But before I do, I just want to make sure we thank our sponsors, Milliken and Rewa. Always appreciative of their support for this group and for 10 at the Top. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Michael Williamson. And thank you guys for being here.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Appreciate you all having me and Tony Thomas today to share a little bit about Northside Development Group, the history, and some upcoming things that we have in the pipeline. So we'll go ahead and we have a video, kind of a history of the Northside to kick us off. And so I'll go ahead and share that now. And then Tony and I can introduce ourselves and talk a little bit more after the video. So let's do this.
I actually moved here at the age of 12. So I moved from Emmons to Spartanburg, and I've been here about 33 years. And we moved to Mill Street, which is now VCOM. But when we moved here, it was Spartan Mills.
The north side of Spartanburg was a mill village. And as a mill village, it had its strengths and it had its weaknesses. When the mill died, the idea that the neighborhood would follow was probably pretty clear.
I would regularly ride through the neighborhood and just, ride up and down streets, and just the state of the community at that time was very sad.
People were doing whatever they wanted to do, and the drugs were so prevalent.
In 2008, 2009, our country experienced a terrible financial crisis. In our community of Spartanburg, Northside was the hardest hit.
At the time, about half of it was vacant. 65% of the population lived below the federal poverty standards. It has a historic stereotype for being high crime. Some of that lived up to, some of it a little over the top.
But what gave us hope was the people who were still here, who were here when I was a little kid walking through the neighborhood. They were still willing to fight.
My background's in community organizing, and one of the major tenets of that is that the problems that a community faces are best solved by those who live in the community. And I think that is really a core strategy that Northside Development Corporation embodied from the beginning, is that they wanted to help transform the North Side, but they wanted to do it in lockstep with the community.
It had to be a group of people to come to the table and say, we're going to make this happen. We're going to build a purpose-built community in Spartanburg, and Spartanburg deserves it.
The North Side did come together relatively fast in the community development realm. It was certainly not overnight.
Our eyes were bigger than our stomachs. We took on a geography that was awfully large, which required us to have multiple strategies.
When you do these type of projects, one of the greatest obstacles is trust.
There are a lot of people in this community, not just in the North Side, who have been told historically that people are going to come in and start working on their neighborhoods and have been left disappointed. We didn't want that to happen.
Most of the planning effort really started from voices of the North Side, from the voices that were being heard on different issues.
So the idea we entered into was that we would have a large group meeting, and we did it over 3 or 4 days, bring in experts, talk about everything from the arts to the kind of buildings people wanted to see, the kinds of homes people wanted to see.
It takes countless hours, and people coming together and really looking at this diagram and saying, okay, that doesn't make sense, or that works, and let's get the people's opinion.
The vision changes, the vision evolves, and a lot of times, a lot of plans that we do see happen in many communities that I've worked in, neighbors come together, residents come together, stakeholders come together, they build a plan, and the plan sits on the shelf. One of the things I see different here in Spartanburg is that plan never made it to the shelf.
One of the things we did right from the very beginning, in my opinion, was that we engaged a group of individuals who lived in the city, who lived in the North Side, who were natives of the North Side, who cared a great deal about its history and its present-day status.
That collective impact of bringing a group of people together with common thoughts and common interests was a huge victory.
And the Voyagers went to the people and say, what do you want in your community?
Our goal is not gentrification. Our goal is to create an environment where both market rate and affordable housing are compatible and go hand in hand.
You have to be resilient and committed to the outcome. When bad news happens or something doesn't go according to your hopes, you can't let it distract you for more than a minute.
We're trying to be sure that the children come from good lives, that they come from a safe neighborhood, that they enter the school in the morning with a full belly, with all the things that many of us take for granted.
To see people being empowered, to see the growth, to see the change, it's empowerment and a sense of pride. You can't put a measuring stick on it.
Bring as many people into the tent as you possibly can. Be sure that you're absolutely clear to them, that you're not going to mislead them, that you're going to be as transparent as possible. You're going to tell everybody about the things that are successful. And you got to tell people about the things you do wrong, and we've done some things wrong.
It really reminds me of that African proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of history on the development of the Northside. Again, I'm Michael Williamson. I'm the CEO of Northside Development Group. That's what I was afraid of. I'm joined today by Tony Thomas, who is our Community Engagement Coordinator. So Tony's got a presentation that he wants to share about some more of the history and some developments that have been completed. I'll share some upcoming developments that we've got in the pipeline, and then we have one more video tour to show you some of those developments. So Tony, go ahead and introduce yourself and then start with your presentation.
Thank you, Michael. I'm Tony Thomas. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Northside under the umbrella of the Northside Development Group, and I'm also president of the Northside Voyagers, which is a community advocacy group that consists of 18 people who live, most of which who live in the community. So I'm going to expand a little bit on what Michael has just shared with you with my PowerPoint presentation here. And can everyone see that? Okay. So I'm going to go back and let's see here. Let me go forward here. Yeah. Let me see. I'll stop share for a second. Share screen. Okay. Can everyone see this? Okay. Yes. So as Mr. Barnett was saying, the Northside started out as a mill community, and in the late 80s, the mill closed down. And after the mill closed, you had a lot of people leave the community, and it was a lot of blight and a lot of devastation left behind. This is some pictures of what a lot of the homes looked like in the community when this transformation began. And a lot of things were happening in the community, as was stated, that, you know, nefarious activities that you wouldn't want to have happening in your community. And because of the proximity of the Northside to the downtown area, a lot of our city leaders felt that it was, you know, it was urgent that we address the issues concerning, you know, this community. And one of the first catalysts that really started this whole project off was the Edward Veer School of Osteopathic Medicine that you see here. It's a $25+ million development that was supposed to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. But some of our leaders got together with the people who had this proposal and invited them here to Spartanburg, and they decided to build here. And this is one of 3 campuses that are located throughout the country. And this was a major catalyst to bring a lot of our partners into the community to help, you know, continue the transformation that you see now. This is the Franklin School, which is our early childhood learning center, which focuses on STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and math as its as a basis for learning. And it deals with our kids from 6 weeks to 5 years old. And it was an important part of this because we felt like cradle to career, we could start with our children at an early age and give them the head start that they needed and were lacking. And we decided that this was the first development that we built in the community. And we named it after a prominent leader in the community, Mr. Arthur Cleveland. So who was very philanthropic and was, about education. And here you have in the center, the Victoria Gardens apartment complex where many of the residents in the North Side lived. And it was named after another servant and a leader in our community by the name of Miss Victoria Stone Brown. And she was an educator, and she also took care of the children in the community. And she was very beloved. And so they decided to name this development after her. To the left, you see one of my Voyagers here and her granddaughter to the right. And the whole thing about this development was that they would work with the community to come in and find the people who are in this community who are interested in positive change, who want to see a better community for themselves. And that's how the Voyagers came about. And we trained under the leadership of Mr. Stan Davis, who many of you may know. He's a leadership consultant out of Greenville. And we trained with him for about a year. And subsequently, we were able to train our next group of Voyagers. We did that ourselves using his material. He allowed us to use his material and his stuff to train the next group. Here we have the new Dr. T.K. Gregg Community Center, which now serves as a focal point for all the activity that we want to do and have in the community. And it also serves to invite other people into the North Side to see what our new community looks like and to say, welcome, come be a part of the new North Side community. Here we have after school programs for our children, computer labs. We have swimming. We have not only a swimming pool for the residents, but we also have a lap pool, which was designed for the local high school, Spartanburg High School, so that they can come here and practice and do some of their meets here. It's a great addition to our community, a much needed addition to our community. And here's where, to your right, is where we are right now. Michael and I are located in the building to your right. The second one, actually, there's one here. See my right, this one, let's see here. Well, the second one to your right, there's two here, and we're in the second one right now as we speak. And across the street is one of the buildings that we're building here is 90 units, 81 of which are affordable. And that was the whole idea, was that we wanted to bring affordability to the community so that the residents who live here could stay, and those who wanted to come to this community would find it a good place to call home. This is one of the buildings that that are about to be erected and almost finished. And it's going to be called the Ellington, and it's dedicated to our seniors, 55 and older. And these are 50 units of affordable housing for the residents, for the senior residents of our community. And like I said, they're just about complete with this, and they'll be moving in hopefully in late July of this year. Here we have the Montgomery townhomes, and these were built just adjacent to where we are here in the North Side picture I just showed you. And these townhomes will be rented out, and 6 to 8 of these will be affordable too for the community. And we're looking forward to the addition. The community wanted, we wanted more density in our community, and we work with our partners in the Montgomery builders to bring this idea to this concept to the community. And it's got a lot of traction and a lot of approval from the residents. They really like this idea. And here we have the Village at Creekside, which we located across the street from Edward Veer School of Osteopathic Medicine. And it'll consist of brownstones, townhomes, and single family homes. And there will be an affordable component to this as well for the community. And with this, people can choose to buy a lot and build to suit, or they can build something that's going to be designed and put up by one of our developers. So once again, it's providing options for the community for upward mobility and an opportunity for home ownership. And this is just a picture of the people in the community, where our children from Cleveland Academy in the center there. That's one of Miss Ray to the left. We're trying to instill a lot of pride in the community and people taking care of their property. And we instituted the Yard of the Month program, which she was the first recipient of. And at the bottom there, you see the bridge, which connects the community with Harvest Park, which is where the farmers market moved. The farmers market was located downtown. When they were looking for a new location, we said, why not the North Side? Because at that time we had been deemed a food desert, meaning we didn't have a grocery store within a 2-mile radius of our community. And so they decided to build the farmers market right here in the North Side community. And this bridge is the connection between the community and Harvest Park. And we also have a culinary training program there. where it's not in operation right now. And we also have the urban farm there, where we take our kids down to see how their food is grown, and they get to participate and grow foods there and learn more about sustainability and how their food is grown, something that we really need to go back to. And to your right is what we call the Little Free Libraries. And the owner of that program, he died a couple of years ago, but that concept is growing throughout the country. And that concept is to create more literacy, comprehension, and reading. And the Voyagers themselves are mentors at the local Cleveland Academy of Leadership, where we, work with the kids in reading comprehension so that they understand, not only read, but understand what they're reading. So we decided to put these little free libraries out, and the kids can get books, take them. They don't have to put them. We ask that they replace them at some time, but they don't have to put anything back. They can keep the books, and the Voyagers help to monitor those and keep those filled. So these are some of the things that we're doing in the community to help our community and help our community want to own it and have a sense of ownership and all that is all that is occurring right now in our community. So that's all I have right now. And I'll send it back to you, Ms. Allen.
So we've got, thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
I wanted to share a little bit more about some of the current developments that we have and a little bit more about Northside Development Group as an organization. So Northside Development Group, we are a nonprofit, and this is our team. So we're a team of 6, and our mission is to improve the health and wellness of this City of Spartanburg's Northside residents by facilitating the redevelopment while also honoring the diversity of the neighborhood's past. And so this is the total study area. So Bill Barnett, who's our board chair, mentioned in the video, we took a pretty big chunk of area to designate as the redevelopment area. It's over 400 acres in this redevelopment area. Some of the things that Tony mentioned, we have the BCOM, which is the School of Osteopathic Medicine here, the site of the old mill. And then as you go down Howard Street, there's a lot of the developments that Tony talked about. So Northside Station, the Montgomery Townhomes, the TK Gregg Community Center, and the Franklin School down towards the end of Howard Street in the study area. Tony covered these. So the Victoria Gardens rehab, so Tony mentioned Victoria Gardens, they're actually going through a substantial rehabilitation right now. $17 million in renovation, and it's done through a 9% low-income housing tax credit with the rental assistance demonstration program with the Housing Authority. And all 80 units will be completely renovated, and the residents who are there will have the opportunity to return within 18 months of the beginning of construction. So this is some of the progress pictures on that development. The Bondhaven Apartments, this is actually outside of our formal area, but has an impact on the neighborhood. So this is 150 market rate apartments. This was started in May of 2020 and will be complete later this year. So anything that Northside Development Group is involved in, we insist on a mixed income approach, but this was done by a private developer purchasing private property. So that is all market rate. The next is the Sunshine Inn site. So one of the first things that Northside Development Group did as part of the redevelopment was to acquire a motel called the Sunshine Inn. It was kind of seen as detrimental to the neighborhood and to the redevelopment effort. And so in a partnership with Wofford College, who was across Church Street from this, Spartanburg Regional Health System, who's also located nearby, and the city of Spartanburg, we purchased that and demolished it. And so it's been a green space since then. Last year, we put that out for, I guess in 2019, we put that out for RFP, and Michael Fletcher out of Greenville was selected as the development partner to redevelop that site. So he's been before Design Review Board once, and he must go back again to get final approval from Design Review Board, but it looks like that project will be moving forward in the next few months. And this is some renderings of what that will look like. So this will be a commercial development, retail, and office and it will front on Church Street, but also have a nice appearance on Magnolia as well. And there'll be a kind of a courtyard area for seating and for outdoor seating and entertainment. The next one is the aid bonded warehouses. So this was, these are some old cotton warehouses that the city and NDG jointly purchased. And again, through a process, Rob Howell and Simon Tuahoy were selected as the development partners to implement that redevelopment. So they're looking for tenants right now, but ideas would include educational opportunities, entrepreneurial space, restaurants, breweries, that type of thing. And so this is what the warehouses look like now, the aerial. You can see it's about 196,000 square feet. And then what some of the interior photos look like currently. The idea is that they will actually reduce some of the space. They're going to take off some of the roof systems and create some interior courtyards. So I think the total will be about 90,000 square feet as they have it planned of indoor space. And this just shows kind of a preliminary idea of how that could be done. And Rob Howell was actually the developer of Hampton Station in Greenville. So that was some of the inspiration behind what these warehouses could be, if any of you are familiar with that. It's a successful development. And so we envision the Aiden warehouses could function similarly. And then this is just a little summary of where we are. So the transformation plan was done in 2014. And since then, we've developed units have been developed in the neighborhood, over 500 units. So we've got 167 multifamily left. We've got 19 townhomes left to develop, and either planned or under construction. We have met all of the goals in the transformation plan for single family and commercial development. And then flex space, which we envision will more than be taken care of at the Aiden warehouses. So that leaves about 13 acres left that is not currently, does not have any plans. So we still have a decent amount of property to be able to implement the desires of the residents of the North Side. We also, so aside from the redevelopment effort and some of the community engagement that Tony talked about, we do owner-occupied rehabilitation. So this is important for Northside Development Group to ensure that residents who have lived in the neighborhood for a long time and own their homes have the opportunity to stay in the neighborhood. So we've done 30 home repairs totaling over $350,000. And we also have what we call our people program. So we have a robust supportive services staff that works with neighborhood residents on things like entrepreneurship through the Start Me Spartanburg program. We also have construction training referrals that we do, and also job referrals and placements. So we have companies that have guaranteed an interview for residents of the North Side who meet the minimum qualifications for a job posting. We also do homebuyer workshops and budgeting and credit workshops to try to prepare residents of the North Side to be able to purchase a home and take advantage of some of the redevelopment efforts and really participate in the process. And then one of the goals out of the transformation plan was to create one of the safest communities in Spartanburg. And over the past 10 years, you can see that the crime rates have decreased pretty drastically from what they were in 2010, 2011. So with that, I wanted to share one more video. It's a tour of the neighborhood that Tony put together last year. And so we will close the presentation portion with that, and then we'll open it up for question and answer and discussion.
Hello, my name is Tony Thomas, and this is a tour of the North Side. Here we have the Franklin School. The Franklin School focuses on early childhood education. The children who attend the Franklin School are from ages 6 weeks to 5 years old. The curriculum is based on STEAM, which focuses on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. the Franklin School is a great addition to the Northside community to help our children with upward mobility. So here I am now in Victoria Gardens. Victoria Gardens is a residential development in the Northside community named after Victoria Brown. Victoria Brown was a highly respected member of our community whose focus is on the education of our youth. Victoria Gardens will soon go through its own redevelopment efforts under RAD. So here I am now on the bridge that connects our community with Harvest Park. To the left is a pavilion that was installed to create more community engagement for our residents. Harvest Park also features the Monarch Cafe. The Monarch Cafe offers culinary training and hospitality training to our residents. Harvest Park is also available to residents of the greater city of Spartanburg who would like to rent it for events. So here we are now at the Butterfly Branch Greenway. This initiative was to bring more physical activity to the community through creating a walking and biking trail. Eventually, this trail will connect Cleveland Academy with Harvest Park. Located on Broadway Street, this is the initial phase of mixed income housing dedicated to addressing the housing needs of the Northside community. I'm standing now in one of 4 artlets in the Northside community. The term artlet means a place in the community for community engagement as well as artful expression. The term artlet was also coined by one of the Northside Voyagers. For historical purposes, I'm standing on the corner of Brawley Street and Farley Street. This was the original location of Spartanburg Methodist College. I'm walking here on Arch Street adjacent to the old Star Mill Hosiery Factory building, which will soon house the Spartanburg Housing Authority. I'm here at the site of the future home of the Ellington. This project is dedicated to senior living for the senior residents of the Spartanburg community. All 50 units will be 100% affordable. I'm standing here now on College Street in front of the Northside Medical Center, a first for the Northside community, which will focus on the health and well-being of the residents of the Northside. It will be operated by Edward Veer School of Osteopathic Medicine. Standing on the corner of Howard and College Street, which is the gateway to the Northside community, to the left we have Phase 1 commercial, and to the right we have Phase 2 housing. Phase 1 will feature office space for Northside Development Group, Birth Matters, and Access Health. Phase 1 housing to my right will feature 90 units of housing, 80 of which will be affordable, 10 of which will be market rate. This is the new Dr. T.K. Gregg Center in the Northside community. It was named after Dr. T.K. Gregg, and Dr. T.K. Gregg was the first African-American doctor to serve our community, and he was well known for never turning anyone away. This building will feature 2 swimming pools, 1 recreational, 1 lap pool, a large fitness center, and a community engagement space for the community. It also will host after-school programs, financial literacy courses, and computer courses. This is a great addition to the Northside community.
Okay, and so with that, Michael and Justine, we can open it up for questions if that's what you would like to do.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Great presentations from both of y'all. We appreciate that. Got a couple questions so far on the chat function. So the first one is from Lisa Colby. Have you begun to see positive community indicators as a result of this project in terms of employment, education, health, or income?
Tony, you want to take a stab at that?
Oh, absolutely, we have. Like Michael said, we have our job referral program, and people come in to sign up for that. We've increased our construction pipeline as well with the community residents. We have one community resident who's going to be featured in our Voyager newsletter coming up. That's going to come out in a few weeks. And he's starting his own business, construction business. So we've seen that. As far as the health is concerned, we work with Access Health. We just got our community health workers community health assessment from them. And it spoke about the issues that the community face and that we're moving in a positive direction and when it comes to obesity, when it comes to diabetes and hypertension. So we're moving in a positive direction because of all the things that we've instituted. So this whole project is not just about building buildings and things like that, but it's also looking at it in a holistic way and dealing with the welfare of the people who live here. So absolutely. This project has been great for those things you mentioned there, Lisa.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Next question is from Chip with Appalachian Council of Governments, ACOG. He's just curious how much public money has gone into these efforts, which I guess would include the city of Spartanburg or HUD funds, and how much of the private investment that has leveraged.
So we recently looked at this. We've had about 25 million in private funds invested, and that had a leverage of about 125 million in total total investment. So we have been really, unlike any place else that I'm aware of, successful in getting, so we've had 3 new markets tax credit projects. We had 3 low-income housing tax credit projects within the north side. So really been putting the resources to use. We also have a very strong partnership with the city of Spartanburg and some of the sources like the neighborhood initiative program that state housing had through the city of Spartanburg a few years ago. Northside was successful in acquiring and demolishing blighted property through that program. So really just using the tools that are available and putting them to work.
If I may add to that, what Michael said, just a few years ago, we had Mr. Ben Carson come down from HUD, along with our state senator, Tim, what's his name, last name?
Scott.
Tim Scott, exactly. And they came here, and he said this was the largest project he's seen where we had so much public and private partnerships and donations made. And he also told us that would be the wave of the future for projects like these when it comes to renovating our communities. So we've garnered a lot of attention from HUD and national attention for what we're doing here. And if we do it right and it's done the way we plan to do it, it would be a great example of what can be done in other cities and communities like the North Side.
Thanks.
Great. Is it completely surrounded by the city, the Northside community, or is there adjacent to the county, any county property as well? Has the county been involved at all in any of the funding or any of the discussions to this point?
So the study area is all within the city limits, but it is immediately adjacent to the city county line. I would say, and Tony, you can probably speak to this better than I can, but I think the county's been supportive, maybe not necessarily with funding, but with the initiative.
Absolutely, they have. They've assisted us with logistically. The county has been very helpful as far as helping to initiate our programs, the support of our programs. The county has been very helpful with that. So the partnership goes a long way. We have a lot of great partners throughout the city and the county. So they all play a different role, but it's all working together.
Wonderful. Great. Okay. Next question is from 10 at the Top Zone, Justine. Any plans for a hotel or convention space in that area?
Well, we do have plans for a new hotel here in Spartanburg, adjacent to the Marriott that's downtown, which is just a stone's throw away from our community. So in a way, you can kind of say it's going to be in our community pretty much. But yeah, that's the new hotel that's coming downtown, and there's plans for actually a couple of hotels to be built in the area near us. But we don't have anything in our 400-acre footprint that's planned like that right now, because our focus is pretty much on residential and building the community up.
But I do think, and Tony, we've talked about this, the county building is, so the city and the county will be building a new joint office building downtown. And so there's opportunity, I think, at the current county building, which is just basically adjacent to the study area between here and downtown, for some of those larger opportunities for redevelopment. So the residents have talked about the need for a grocery store, and we're hopeful that really I think a larger mixed use development could go in there that could include things like a grocery store or hotel.
And that location is just about 100 yards from where we're at right now. So that'll be a great addition to our community if we can pull that off.
I was just thinking that we were talking a little bit before we started today about destinations, and it seems that pretty soon it will also be a destination in addition to a wonderful place to live.
Yes, absolutely, it will be. And right now I'm trying to implement a program called Storytelling at the Artlets. As I mentioned in the video, we coined these places in our community called Artlets, and it's for community engagement and the use of the arts. So what we're trying to do is invite the greater community, Spartanburg community, into the North Side to engage this community in a new way. So it's going to be, and then with the addition of the new art, the Gateway Art Project, then we're going to be inviting the greater community into our community a lot, and to come in and share our Dr. T.K. Gregg Center with fitness and and events. We're planning a great festival this fall, September this year, to do just that. And that's to invite people into our community to see what we've done, ask questions, and to enjoy a day of fun and activities with us in the North Side.
Awesome. Okay, the next question definitely came from a transportation planner, Sherry Dull with Spats. Do you find that some of the residents would want and benefit from other multimodal routes for getting to work in other destinations? And if yes, what would they be?
Well, Michael, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was going to say the town just initiated the scooter program. I don't know if that's any indication of what you're asking, but we just approved the scooter program so that people can rent scooters and travel around the city on scooters. So some people will probably be traveling over here on those scooters now to see us. We already have a bike program instituted where they can rent bikes for a day and do that. But the scooter program is designed to increase mobility. So hopefully they will. And Michael, you can add to that whatever you have.
Yeah, and we have, so the bus system does run. There's a bus route that runs down Howard Street and has, I think, 3 stops within the neighborhood. Is that right, Tony?
Yes.
So there are alternative forms of transportation other than just the automobile. We are also have in the plans to connect the Butterfly Creek to the larger bike network system in Spartanburg. So I think those opportunities would be helpful, and they're underway.
Okay, I think so they are baked into the plans then, essentially.
They are, yeah.
Great. Okay, and a question from Chip Bentley. Do you know the percentage of seniors in the Northside community, and do you have any programs or developments specific to senior needs?
Yes, we do. We know the percentage is about, I would say our community is about 37 to 40% seniors in the Cleveland Heights area. And we have what we call our senior initiative here in the community, where we support our seniors with case management. And that's to make sure they're well, do wellness checks, to make sure they have what they need. Our homeowner assistance program also deals with their needs for their homes. If they need a roof, or if they're in a situation where they can't afford, some of the things that they need, we try to fill in those gaps for them to help them out. So, this is an old community, and that's why you've seen in the figure, a lot of things were happening in the community because the community was kind of elderly and docile. So other people, I call them interlopers, they would find it a great place to come and do things that weren't conducive to a good neighborhood here, because our community was elderly and kind of docile in a way. So we had to shore that up. The Voyagers had to say, okay, the Voyagers are located strategically through the community so that we communicate and we provide an extra layer of protection for our seniors. So yeah, our seniors are very important to us, and we look out for them as much as we can. And they allow us to, because they're very independent sometimes.
And the other thing we're doing, a couple more things. So we actually have a vaccine clinic in the neighborhood. VCOM had a medical center that they hadn't been able to open yet, partially due to COVID and some other factors, but they were able to work with DHEC to get a vaccine clinic here in the North Side and reserve 10 spaces per day for North Side residents. So Tony's been working with the residents, a lot of which are at Archibald Rutledge, which is a lot of our senior residents there as well, to help them get the COVID-19 vaccine. The other thing we're working on is we'll be hiring a community health worker for the North Side this year. So Spartanburg Regional Health System worked with us to apply to Duke Endowment for a grant to hire a community health worker to really focus on the social determinants of health. And I think a lot of that the role of that person will be to work with our seniors to connect them with resources and make sure that both housing and other resources that they need. So.
Great. Okay. I don't see any other written questions. I guess I'd like to ask a question of both y'all. Where do you see the Northside Development Group in 10 years after the property is all developed? And I guess where do you see the program moving forward?
So I think we've got about 5 years left of kind of heavy redevelopment activity. So some of the developments that we mentioned, like Belgic Creekside, are just getting started, and we have we're actually doing some charrettes right now to help us plan for some additional about 8 contiguous acres that we have. So that will I think the redevelopment will continue, I'd say, for another 5 years or so. But I think beyond that, the the services that we provide, the supportive services, the need will not go away. And so, you know, I think that will continue, and we'll kind of shift our focus eventually towards the more of the supportive services that we provide, and really building up the residents of the Northside. Tony, do you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I see that in the future, the NDG will be here as a supportive group or a supportive entity for the community and the services that we provide to help sustain the community, number one, and also to be here to guide any future development or anything that might come into the community new, because the goal is to have a community where we all can stay, and those who want to come here can come here and find it a good place to live and call home. So just as an oversight entity, and to be here to provide supportive services in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you. Dean, I believe you had a question?
I do. And, you know, Tony and Michael, the transformation over the last decade has been amazing. And I've been fortunate enough to see it kind of through the different stages. And the one thing that's probably impressed me more than anything is, you know, a lot of places talk about that you're going to engage the community and they're going to have a say, but at the end of the day, you know, they really often are kind of at the mercy of the leadership and those with the financial resources and things of that nature. What's probably impressed me more than anything else with the Northside initiative is, you know, and you've mentioned the Voyagers a couple of times, Tony, but could you talk a little bit more specifically about what that group is and how it plays a role in all of the decision making? Because, you know, you heard Bill Barnett say it and others, you know, that the residents have a voice, but I think it's even greater than that. I mean, the residents are the voice and a lot of the decision making. Can you talk a little bit specifically about how that came about and how it is continuing to evolve?
Yes. Well, thank you, Mr. Hibble. I think that, like you said, the whole project from the inception was about engaging the community and finding out what the community wanted, the community needs. And Bill Barnett, as he said, you know, he always told me, he says, it's your party, I'm a guest. And he also says, you know, we move at the speed of trust. So at the very beginning, it was about building trust with the community and knowing that whatever our partners decide to do, that the community will be heard. You know, we came to the table at first, you know, skeptical about things, you know, and that's understandable. I'm sure you understand why. And we came skeptical, but over the momentum as things went about, we decided that we wouldn't overpromise or underdeliver. So when we were told things we had to delineate out to our community, it ruled out to be true. The Voyagers, there are no decisions that are made in the community. We have charrettes, which are just a fancy name for a public workshop, but we hold charrettes to determine what the community want to have and what want to see. Our master plan was built around the community desires itself. Everything in the master plan was what the residents came to those meetings and said they wanted to see in this community. And going forward from that, there are no developments, no developers that come in. They all have to meet with the Voyagers. And the Voyagers is we started out with 10 members. Now we have 18. And all the decisions that are made are brought through us for our approval and our consideration. With most everything, you don't always get everything you want. But the idea is that we will be heard, and when we come to an impasse or confusion or whatever, that we sit down at the table together and iron out the differences so that we can come to a conclusion that we all can live with. And that's something that we appreciate. The Voyagers, we've been all over the country teaching and sharing our message about how to do this. And I think in the past, a lot of times when decisions were made for the community, it ended up in a bad situation where we were just transferring poverty. So the whole idea of this was not to transfer the poverty or in 10 years have our children and grandchildren deal with it, but to deal with it right here where it is. And doing so by, you know, finding out what the community needs, what's going to help us with longevity and sustainability so that we can live in this community, have some ownership in this community and lead it forward on our own. So post NDG, the Voyagers will hopefully play a greater role in the leadership in this community and what its future will be. So that's why NDG helps the Voyagers with professional development, things that we need to become better and to be better through the method of training that Stan Davis gave us called Kaizen, becoming good through change. so that we can sustain this thing over time. So I'm very grateful to NDG, because to this very date, our transformation plan, if you look at our transformation plan and what you see on the ground, it matches almost tick for tat. And that's because a lot of effort has been given to consideration to the voyagers and the members of this community. And that's just something that hadn't happened before, and it's happening. And I can attest to that.
And the other part of that is, and I remember in the first presentation I saw, you were a year or 2 years in, that, you were very intentional to make sure that this didn't become a gentrification example. And it seems like you have really, obviously by having the Voyagers' voice and other things, been very intentional from the beginning that this wasn't going to be something that you make it nice and then the people who were from that neighborhood couldn't afford to live there anymore. You've touched on it, and Michael, you've touched on it, but what are there any other elements, specifically that y'all are doing or have done to make sure that gentrification wasn't something that just kind of snuck up and happened on you?
Well, Michael, you want to speak to that part, and then I can add to what you say, because there's some things I'd like to say about that. Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, so I think anytime you add amenities to a community, there's a risk of gentrification. I mean, when I was with the city of Greenville, the discussion of Unity Park and whether or not that was a gentrifying element for the Southern Side neighborhood and the West Greenville neighborhood. I think that's still a discussion that's going on. But I would say we've been intentional in a few ways. One is, so for instance, when we built the TK Gregg Center, we had to relocate about 100 families from what was the Oakview apartments. And Tony and Lakeisha have kept in touch with those families, and about a little over 50 of those families want to return back to the north side. So as we're opening up some of these new developments, those former residents are being given first opportunity to apply for those apartments. So the 90 units that Tony mentioned, they're going to start taking applications in about another week or so. And those Oakview residents are going to have the first opportunity to come back to the neighborhood. And so that's, I think, one of the things, our mission has always been mixed income housing. We want to ensure that existing residents can stay here, but we also want to ensure that new residents have an opportunity to come here. So it's a balance. Tony, you can talk a little bit more about it. I mean, we're constantly kind of struggling with how to implement the plan while making sure that gentrification isn't occurring, isn't a concern.
Yeah, and also what we've done also is we've provided for those who are seeking home ownership, we provide the programming. See, and that's important for us as a community, so that we have home buyer workshops that teaches our community what all the steps in buying a home and purchasing a home. And then we offer down payment assistance through NDG as well as the city to choose the north side. If you choose the north side to live in, you qualify for up to $20,000 in down payment assistance in home ownership. So these are little things that add to the fact that we don't want to gentrify the community. And from a community perspective, we always say that there is a buy-in from the community. There is a responsibility for the community to take advantage of these programs that will offer them these things. So part of my role as a community engagement coordinator is to make sure, and as a voyager, is to make sure that the community is aware of the things that are out there for them, to allow them, sustainability, to become a homeowner, to be able to stay in the community if they want to. So I just think that as we move forward, we have hiccups, and the agreement is that when we have a disagreement or we have some concerns, and we've had those, it hasn't always been kumbaya as with anything. But when we do have those disagreements and those misunderstandings, we all come to the table. And that's something that I really enjoy about working with my partners and with Northside Development Group, because my thing is that we have the same goal. Our mission and our vision is similar. And therefore, if we adhere to that, then very little gentrification. Like I said, there are going to be some collateral damage. We're going to lose some people, but that wouldn't speak to what the whole goal is, and that is to keep our neighborhood intact. And we've been able to do that so far. It's ongoing. It's an ongoing challenge. As the more developers see this as a great place to come to and build, the harder that challenge is going to become. But we've instituted the Homestead Tax Exemption Act for our seniors and our elder and our disabled to help them with the increase in tax rates and things like that, so that we can kind of guide the the development and guide the changes that are to come.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, so are there any more questions?
Hey. Yeah, this is Catherine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm in the car, so couldn't type my question. Thank you so much for your time this morning and presenting on this project. I've heard a lot about it, so it's cool to see you guys present. I have a few quick questions. So one, with the high costs of construction materials right now, are you having any challenges related to keeping to your affordability goals? My second question related to affordability, are they going to be or is there a time limit on the affordability? And my third question is, since this has been so successful and the city has really seen the value, are there conversations being had of bleeding this concept out elsewhere in Spartanburg, like the Highlands community, for example?
Yeah, so certainly the first question, building costs are affecting affordability moving forward. So many of the multifamily developments that are under construction right now had sourced their materials prior to especially lumber, prior to the huge spike that we've seen in the past 6 months or so. So those developments weren't heavily affected, but when we're looking at, for instance, a new home ownership development right now, it's just incredibly difficult to build a new house for less than, say, $150,000, and that's a small house. So affordability is a factor. The good thing is interest rates are low right now, so we're actually, Tony and I are doing a workshop with the Voyagers tomorrow about what that means, how prices and interest rates affect payment and affordability. So I think that is an important point to have during that conversation. The second one was about, I think, long-term affordability. So it depends on the development. There's affordability periods with home and low-income housing tax credit, but we have ownership in some of the developments that we're involved in as well that can ensure longer-term affordability past those affordability periods. So, not everything is permanently affordable, but it will be long-term affordable. And a lot of the partners that we choose are organizations that, their mission is affordable housing, and they'll likely continue the affordability past any affordability restrictions. And then the last question I have forgotten at this point. What? Do y'all remember number 3?
We transfer this concept to other communities like Highland and the South Side.
So we're actually in active conversations right now with Highland about how, so they've just completed their transformation plan. So they're in the very early stages, and we're in active conversations about how NDG can assist them implementing their transformation plan. So either through technical assistance, or we're still trying to iron that out exactly what that looks like. But there are conversations with Highland and Tony. I know you've also worked with the South Side and some of their community engagement. So so we try to provide, not just in Spartanburg, but other communities have come to us looking for guidance, and Tony's always happy to help with that process, and as we all are. So
yeah.
Great. Thanks for the questions, Catherine. And I want to piggyback on that. I think anybody that, every community in the Upstate that I'm aware of could benefit from a program like this. So I would definitely recommend getting in touch with Tony and Michael, as long as you guys are okay with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think there's a benefit there pretty much everywhere. So we do appreciate your time and your presentations today. Looks like there's no other written questions. If anybody has any other questions they'd like to ask, this would be a great time to do so. And if not, I will turn it over to Dean to go over some announcements before we adjourn. Again, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And maybe not Dean, we'll turn it over to Justine.
It'll be me, right? Yes. It rhymes. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was super interesting. And, we've talked before, and I love that working with the community to develop what it is that the community wants, not just going in there and saying what they should have. So great. I just love it. I just wanted to give a couple 10 at the top updates. We have, I'm going to paste a link to our events page in the chat. We've got a chat coming up next Thursday with guest speaker Dr. Sarah Sacoccio. We still have not confirmed if that's the proper pronunciation. Sorry, doctor. A health update from Prisma. And then our entrepreneur workshop is coming up. Actually, it's an e-commerce series with several community partners on the 15th. And the True Entrepreneur Workshop will be with Kunal Parikh, who is a policy advisor to Senator Tim Scott, to talk about legislative updates and what to expect from the new administration when it comes to small business and entrepreneurship. So that's it for me. Thanks so much. Any final words? Michael Foreman?
No, just hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and we will see you all next time. And Justine, did you need to stay on? We need to stay on and talk?
Yes, please. And I did think of one last announcement. I meant to mention that we will be presenting the Upstate Comprehensive Plan Review in early May. So we'll update you on what the date is for that. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate you joining in today.
Thank you all.